All right, today I bring to you Deflector Brake. These are actually a pretty cool product that I've been waiting a little bit to talk to you guys about. So these things are marketed specifically for two reasons. Reason A, you have dumped a bunch of money into a custom finish on your AR and you want to protect it. Second reason would be you reload and you're tired of hunting for all your spent brass just to find it and find that it's been damaged by your deflector. So this right here is one of my favorite guns that I put together. This is my Freedom 556 build. The gun is solid. It shoots straight, it's accurate, it's reliable. What I really love is how my Cerakote finish turned out. Now I've done flags for probably a dozen people now. And I didn't get a chance to getting around to doing one for myself until last summer. And I love how it turned out. It definitely gets the attention when I go out to the range. Now I did the Cerakote work myself. But if you yourself have taken an AR in to have Cerakote done on it, you know exactly how expensive it is. You know how much time it takes to get it into your local Cerakote applicator. Wait for them to get it prepped, get it sprayed, get it put back together, get it back in your hands after you've given them some dollars. Now, as durable as Cerakote is, there isn't a single aftermarket top coat film type coating that's really going to last forever. You know, they're all going to get scratched and damaged at some point. When we're talking about an AR-15, the shell deflector is definitely the first spot that's going to get jacked up on your new expensive ass finish. Your spent casings come out hot and fast, and when they hit that deflector, they bounce off and they get scattered everywhere. As most of you know, when they bounce off the deflector, they leave a lot of brass residue on there. They do scratch the finish. And for those of you reloading, you know that when your shell casing hits the deflector and bounces off into space, it tends to leave a little bit of a dimple around the neck. So the Deflector Brake is a very simple concept. It is a foam type material. On the back side of it, it's got an adhesive strip. The angle of the foam actually changes the trajectory of your shell casing after it bounces off of the deflector. The packaging for the Deflector Brake is this kind of cool little box. Inside you've got several of these guys, and it also has a bunch of alcohol prep pads to go ahead and clean the surface with. So we're going to go ahead and install one of these real quick. First step is the alcohol pad. Now, firearms naturally have a lot of oils in them, so what you want to do is take the alcohol prep pad and clean that deflector area really well. That's going to go ahead and round up any oil or dirt or any residues that are on there. It's going to get them on the pad, so you've got a good surface for the Deflector Brake to stick to. Once you've wiped that down, go ahead and give it a couple minutes just for that alcohol to flash off. And blow on it a little bit. Give it a little bit of that coronavirus. Yeah, it looks good and dry. Now, we need to take one of these deflector brakes and just peel that backing off of there. So, once I've got that ready, I'm just going to go ahead, line that up. You know what? I'll do this on the table. I'm going to line this deflector brake up. Okay. So, got the deflector brake on there. I'm going to go ahead and press it down. And I'm just going to press it, squeeze it. I'm going to hold that sucker on there for, I don't know, 30, 60 seconds, something like that. It's in the directions, but I don't really like to read. So I'm going to press it down and hold it until I know that it's secure. Looks pretty good right now. All right. Might have gotten it a little cockeyed on there, but you know what? I don't care. It's going to work just fine. So there's the end result. We're going to take this bad boy out and test it out. Now, before we go ahead and take this out to the range, let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits of the deflector brake. So first things first, clearly it's going to protect the finish there on your deflector of your AR. If you're the kind of guy that reloads, instead of that casing coming out, hitting your deflector, dinging it, and then it going off into space, that foam deflector brake is going to keep your spent casings looking like new. The other thing about the design is it's going to create a consistent pile of spent casings. So instead of them being all over the range or gravel pit wherever you're shooting, it should throw them in a nice neat pile. Now these guys say that you're looking at about a 2-foot diameter area that your brass is going to go. It's going to change your trajectory of launch forward and to the right, something like 4 or 5 feet. So off this direction about 5 feet, you're going to find a pile 2 foot around of all your spent casings. So if you reload, the value behind that. Instead of running around searching for all of your brass, it's all going to be pretty easy to locate. Obviously, results are going to vary. Not every gun is going to have the exact same results. Things like the type of ammo that you're using are going to factor in. Things like barrel length, gas system length. There's a lot that goes into it. So regardless of what the website says for deflector brake, test it out. It's going to vary a little bit between weapons. So without further ado, let's get out to the range and test this thing out and see if it works or not. So I went out for my test run. I got up early, packed up all the stuff that I needed, drove out to my shooting spot, which, by the way, was extremely packed. Once I parked, I realized that I had forgotten one vital piece of equipment. Friggin' tripod. But hey, that's real life. Sometimes things happen. Down below are some links, including one so that you can order the deflector brake. Using those links supports the channel. Without your support, of course, there's not a lot of ways to keep bringing content. So for everybody who's using those links, everybody who's ordering t-shirts from the t-shirt store, I appreciate it. All right, so the initial test. I went ahead and marked out my standing position. Then I went ahead and used the same position and target for both the Freedom 5.56 and the pistol build that we recently did. The Freedom 5.56 has a 16-inch barrel and carbine length gas system. The AR pistol build that we did from PSA, that one's got a 10.5-inch barrel. It also has a carbine length gas system as well. Now before we get down to the meat and potatoes of all of this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. This is not going to be the only video that we do on the deflector brake. They are rated for roughly 1,500 rounds of use. I really want to push it and see how much they can handle before they actually have to be swapped out. I kind of want to go through and do some larger calibers, and I really want to see what they can do. So we are going to do some more videos on these, and they'll be coming up real soon. So I put 25 rounds through both guns. Again, I use the same target, try to keep my grouping nice and tight, just so I'd have a reasonable idea of what we were looking at for results. With the Freedom 5.56, it was really consistent. All of my shell casings were going out right about the 2 o'clock position. Anywhere between 4.5 to 5 feet out, and they were in a very nice 2-foot diameter pile, just as expected, which was nice. Now my results were a little bit different with the AR pistol, with that 10.5-inch barrel. Instead of being out at the 2 o'clock position, they were flinging them right about 1 o'clock. And the distance from my standing position, instead of being 4.5 to 5 feet, it was more like 6 feet. So I brought them in a little bit, out a little bit further, but the end result was the same. They were still in a nice 2-foot diameter pile, easy to find. While I was out, I put 250 rounds down range. Half of that was through the 16-inch barrel, half of that was through the 10.5-inch barrel. While the results did vary a little bit between the two guns, they were actually really consistent within each firearm. So it seems like it's kind of a win there. So the part that really impressed me is the shape that these casings are in. Aside from the usual powder burns, they definitely look new. There's not a bit of damage here. Not a single dent, not a single ding in any of the brass that I collected during my test out of that 50 rounds. These things are in great shape. They're ready to be processed and reloaded. So here's one casing that was fired without a deflector brake. It is 223, so you don't generally get a lot of damage on the casing, but you can see that there is a little dent right there from the deflector on the rifle. In comparison, with the deflector brake, it's pretty much like new. Plus, it was a nice consistent pile of brass to clean up. I don't personally reload, but if I did, that'd be a big help. So you want to keep that expensive finish in perfect shape. You want to collect your brass and reload it. Not only that, do you want your brass in good shape and easy to find? I'd say you probably need to hit that link below and order yourself some deflector brakes. Next time we head to the range, not only will I remember all of the video equipment, but I will be bringing along an AR-10 to do some testing with. 308 ammo is definitely not cheap, and a lot of people are reloading it. I'd really like to see the difference between no deflector brake and deflector brake with the 308. So that's going to be the next test. We'll go ahead and video that and bring it to you guys so you can see the proof in the pudding, so to speak.